calendar to,
The United States of America, and to the republic, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Alex, can you roll?
Neiman,
Yes?
Iniesta Garcia,
Present.
Sue Chung,
Yes.
Ellen John,
Present.
Kevin Lim,
Here.
Rebecca Lee,
Here.
Anthony Kim,
Here.
William Kim,
Present.
Charlie Shin,
Yes.
Dr. Sorella,
Present.
Okay, statement of presiding officer. In compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231 PL 1975, I hereby state that adequate notice of this work session has been provided to the public by a written notice dated January 15, 2023, date of published notice. The meeting notice has been 1. Emailed to all staff members at the District 3 school locations. 2. Communicated to at least one of the board designated newspapers. 3. Filed with the borough clerk of Palisades Park. Okay, now we are going to review and discuss resolutions to be voted excuse me, on at regular meeting. Okay, so we'll start with the Finance Committee, Mr. William Kim. We are just going to talk about, not motion. Mr. Kim?
Yes. This is item K on the agenda. So, number 1 is professional development visitations. I understand that most of these are state mandated. Any questions on those we can discuss? Number 2 is an out-of-district placement for a special needs student. My understanding is this student is actually replacing an existing student. 3, food service. 4 is the student activities accounts. And then 5 and 6, I believe, are treasurer's and secretary reports. 7 is for big transfers. 8 is for the bells and clocks lease purchasing, resulting in 5 equal payments of $38,477.30 annually. Number 9 is for capital reserve transfer. This is for our HVAC projects. 10 is for approving payroll. 11 is the bill list that's provided to the board. 12, I believe this is a state program. 13 is, we have more detail in our folders, but it's the ROD grants, the state grants for capital improvements. We can discuss that in more detail if necessary. And 14 is for the 14 to 15 for the ongoing renovations in the auditorium. I believe those are all the finance items.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kim.
Sure.
Now, other questions on that?
I just have a couple of questions on number 8, for the bulb and clocks. Did we budget for that? Is that within the budget?
So, we did not necessarily budget for it, in the total amount. We can pay for the, annual 38,000,
Okay.
within our budget. Fortunately enough, I think it's, fair to say that we didn't anticipate 65 degrees on a, February afternoon. So our maintenance lines, have a little bit of excess.
Okay.
In addition, in the event that we cannot make the first payment this school year, they are allowing us to start payment in July, so we are budgeting
And then you can budget
appropriately.
for it. Okay.
So
I
in the
just wanna
event
make
we
sure
do
that
have money,
is
we will
right.
start our payments this year. And those are for bells, clocks, and, PA system notifications at Lindbergh Elementary School and the junior senior high school.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I have another question about this. Police amount is $173,000 about, okay? What is the point?
I don't know what the purchase price would be, Mr. Shin, but on a 2% cap, I highly doubt any school district, would be able to pay it up front. 2% of our tax levy, as you're well aware, is approximately $500,000. I wouldn't be able to budget, approximately 175 of what we see next year as a potential 2% increase. It would just not be feasible financially.
And just to be clear, the 173 is lease to purchase, meaning that we will ultimately own it.
We own it.
Okay.
This was something that we began discussions on, I believe, in November. We became members of a Hunterdon Essex co-op agreement.
Right.
On the advice of the former board attorney. We, at that point, were able to solicit state contracted vendors. Eastern Datacom is the vendor of this equipment. They then, the Hunterdon Essex, go out to get, finance rates. 3 rates were submitted to, them. We were able to finance with the lowest rate of what I think is 4.4272%.
Okay.
So we pay like $170,000 every year.
No, we pay $38,000 for 5 years, and we own the equipment after that.
It appears that the 173 is the purchase price.
Correct.
And then the 38 5 times includes the interest.
You must be in the business world. Thank you.
And I just have a similar question for item 14 with the top proposal for the PPHS auditorium, and we did budget for that.
That's, well, actually, again, I say no, but when we repaired our roof, as you're well aware, in the months of June and July at the junior senior high school, little did we realize the repair of the roof would disturb existing asbestos.
Right.
At that point, we were able to recoup much money from insurance, have to replace that after we abated and got a clean bill of health. So much of these funds, the lighting, the ceiling tiles was not budgeted again, but fortunately, we were able to recoup insurance claims, and that project, we're hopeful, is complete by next week.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question?
Yeah, I have a question for number 2. Our district placement. How many kids going to the school? Richfield? How many children is going to?
So we have, I can't go into the details specifically because they are special education children and they are out-of-district placements, but we have approximately 25 out-of-district placements throughout the state of New Jersey. No students leave the state of New Jersey, but in Richfield, it's probably our largest sending district because of the proximity, because of the services and the programs they offer. So I can tell you, parents usually would like to comply with the IEPs and the least restrictive environment. And being Richfield is only, as we know, a 5-10 minute drive with a very good program. Again, it is conducive for that child's individualized education plan.
And what's the ESY? Tuition plus the ESY?
Extended school year, so they are eligible for an additional month of school. So normally the school year would be 10 months. Special education children, by way of their IEPs, are eligible for 1 additional month.
So it's number 12, is that fully funded by state, like the?
Yep, so number 12, good question. Number 12 is ESSER, in Learning Acceleration. That is funded by the federal government. Those were funds that we received from coronavirus relief. And clearly, by way of offering summer learning, we would need to have a resolution to approve those funds to go towards that program. I believe we have approximately 50,000 for summer programs to be conducted in the summer of 2023.
So, because that has like a deadline to use the funds?
By 2023, all ESSER funds must be used. So similar to our HVAC projects, we have to earmark or benchmark the funds to be allocated to a project. Although many of the projects may not be completed, we do have to use those funds by 2023.
So will this funding end this year, or will it continue?
I
next
know
year?
no more coronavirus relief money that's coming our way, but as William mentioned earlier, there is a resolution in number 13, the State Department of the Governor's Office announced there is $350 million in ROD grants. I am asking the board to consider the submission of an application to potentially submit to Department of Education for approval of funding for future projects. But there is no more, to the best of my knowledge at this point, there is no longer any federal money for coronavirus relief.
Any other question? Okay, if not, we'll, excuse me, we'll move that buildings and ground. Mr. Anthony Kim?
Do you want to?
No.
Yes, Mr. Shin has a question.
Okay, this line is very hard to see others, okay. Like the number 14 and number 15, it's like $35,000 and like $43,000 for the like repairing works. Is there any way we can get like the duplicate the quotation word and we can compare the costs? Because
Yes, we are required, any project over the bid threshold, we are required to solicit 3 bids, competitive bids on the same project.
Mhm.
These are the lowest bids,
goes to bid.
100%. We are required to do so.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, there is, Mr. Kim?
No report at this time.
Okay, thank you. Now, move on to personnel. Ms. Annie Escagacia.
Yes, there are 1 through 8 resolutions affecting personnel. I'm gonna review each one and just
Give any questions? Okay, it's not, do you have any questions?
I'm sorry,
Sure.
does it, I don't know if in public, do you think I can ask for what, how the raise for the aide, teacher aide?
The salary?
Yeah.
Uh,
Is it salary or like a rate?
So if they're full-time, if they are teacher aide positions, I believe this candidate is receiving $17,000. That is the first step on the guide.
Or year?
Well, it would be prorated because she would be joining us upon date of hire and fingerprint approval.
From now to end of June? right?
Prorated amount, yes.
Do you have any questions? If not, next, curriculum committee, Ms. Rebecca Lee.
There's one agenda right now, but there's 4 sub-agendas. They're all, field trips. A is for the Korean 3 and 4, they're going into a workshop. B is for gifted and talented field trip. C is for 5th grade, teacher to attend the, Jackals baseball game. And then, D is for the, fine arts teacher, fine arts department field trip.
Okay. Do you have any questions? Okay, if not, letter O, negotiations.
Yeah, we don't have any agenda for discussion.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lim. And, policy committee. Ms. Any excavation?
There's no report.
No report? Okay. Now, letter Q, New Jersey School Boards, liaison alternate. Ms.
No reports to agenda.
Okay. Move back to county school boards rep, alternate. Helen?
No report today.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, now we are going to close the work session. And do I have a motion to close the work session and open the regular meeting?
I make a motion to close and open the regular meeting.
Second, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Now, letter G, report of the board attorney.
I have no report for the public, but I just want to say this is my first night here, serving as a new attorney for the board. When I understand it was a contentious appointment, that I'm here for the board, for every member, whether you voted for me or not. My job is to guide the board away from potential problems and give the best advice that I can. I don't know everything. I'm pretty good at what I do, but as I said, I don't know everything, and sometimes it may require that I obtain more information. Most of the time, I need to obtain more facts. Usually, a question will lead to another question that I might have. So I'm grateful for the appointment and the ability to serve this fine community, and I promise you that I will be here for each and every board member.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McCann. So next one, letter H, report to the superintendent, Dr. Sotelo.
Thank you, Ms. Min. A few items for the public, but before I do that, approximately 1 year ago, the Department of Education mandated that every school district that has a high school district of grades 9 through 12 would have a student representative serve on the board. I'm very proud and happy to announce and welcome Eliana Dela Cruz to the dais. She will take part in our board meetings for at least the rest of this year, as she is a senior at Palisades Park Junior Senior High School. She's an AP student. She's a recipient of the Seal of Biliteracy that I've talked about in the past. I'm going to embarrass her a little bit more. She has a 3.8 GPA and is awaiting on many colleges and universities. I'm going to have Eliana give us a monthly, really just overview of some of the good things that are happening in our buildings, and sometimes areas that we need to improve upon. It should be transparent. As you all know, we are not perfect. We continue to get better. But Eliana, thank you for volunteering. Congratulations and welcome.
Hi everybody. So one of the things that have happened this week, or that have been happening for the past few months, Mr. Garcia came to me and to another student named Jesus, and he said that he wanted to start like a team of students that wanted to like make change in the school. We named it the Impact Team. We sent out a Google form to all the students in the school, and anybody who wanted to join had to just let us know. We've had about 2 meetings now, one this week, and basically the team is going to work with the administrators at the school to just make small changes at the school, even if it's just like painting the school bathroom, making things look better throughout the school. Obviously, you guys have more leeway of making like things like the auditorium or like the gym, which we really appreciated getting done, because all the athletes were so happy once we saw that gym was like all nice and fixed up, and obviously that the auditorium is now being fixed up. And recently our dance team actually just placed 4th place in the national championships out of 21 teams. They just came back to school yesterday, and they were just also excited, but also obviously sad because most of our team are seniors and they are leaving this year along with me. Our basketball team just had their senior night yesterday, and the boys won, and they're going to the States next week, I believe, is their first game in States. And I do the stats for the boys basketball team. I've been doing it since I was a freshman, so it's sad that the year is ending, but it's ending on a good note. And back to the Impact Team, the meeting that we had 2 days ago, we just touched on things that we could fix, like the bathrooms being painted or adding menstrual products into the girls' bathroom. On the gym floor, there's like a box, that's a pretty old box, so we want to remove it and kind of like fix it up and put more menstrual products for the girls, even though of course they could go to the nurse, but it's easier just for them to have it in the bathroom. And yeah, the school, we just wanna make small changes to the school and just try to make it as best as we can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So in addition, I know you touched on the dance team, thank you. So they placed fourth nationally in Orlando, Florida. I had the pleasure and privilege of going last year. Unfortunately, it did not coincide with our family schedule this year, but we are very happy and proud. I will try to have some of those girls, and there is a male student on that team as well, so those student athletes be at one of our next meetings to acknowledge them. I also know that there's a very special recognition. Our girls swimming team, we co-op with Leonia. They just won their ninth straight championship. That is incredible. We additionally, unfortunately, our season ended 2 days ago in a very tough meet versus Northern Highlands in the state semis. But 3 students of ours deserve special recognition. Ariana Guzman, Claire Kwan, and Valerie Ramirez all participated and did a wonderful job. We are very, very, very lucky to continue that co-op with Leonia. 9 years in a row is pretty special, so kudos to all of them. A few other items. Residency has been a topic of conversation for this Board of Ed for many years. We completed a residency check of 2 grade levels. We are conducting that of 2 more grade levels effective March 1st. We are going to begin residency checks of all first graders and all 9th graders in our school district. Obviously, it's important to do re-registration occasionally. We are continuing to work with our residency officer, Mr. Thompson. And again, we know that proximity to many service highways sometimes lends itself to a lot of people to come into our school, but they need to be residents of our community to be entitled to that education. So we're going to do the re-registration. I apologize for the inconvenience, but it's important to do so. HVAC project was touched on earlier. Work has begun, believe it or not. I guess we're lucky that it was 65 degrees. The HVAC project here at the Early Childhood Center has begun. You may see, I guess that's First Street? Second Street, thank you, Joe, that's First Street. There is a lift. They have been beginning their project to bring condensers onto the roof.
They're up there.
They're up there.
There's a bunch up there already.
They're up there, thank you, Joe. So the good news is, we are working, we are moving towards our projects that are obviously big, big, big undertakings. And again, exciting times. Obviously, please continue to be patient with us, with, you know, the how things may look. We will have a fence put up outside to secure some of their items. It was better there, in my opinion, than on a courtyard where I think children are playing. Finally, from me, we have 2 items that I am going to ask in new business. I'm going to ask the board to approve the bus evacuation drills. And in old business, I'm going to ask the board to consider what we have been discussing for the last few months, a school security and safety committee. By policy, we must do that. I know we spoke of it in the past, and I really believe let's not continue to prolong the process. Let's not delay the inevitable. I think a committee working hand in hand with the police department will go a long way to help us all work together for safety reasons. Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Okay, thank you. So next item, letter I, report to the board president. It is a committee appointment updates, but Diane emailed it to everyone today. So thank you, Diane. So there is no report at this time.
So finance chair has changed to Agnieszka Williams. Is there any reason for that?
You know,
Sure. Ultimately, to the best of my knowledge, it's the recommendation of the president. I think the background of Mr. Kim speaks for itself. I don't want to diminish Ms. Garcia, but I'm sure that maybe some of the comments you made last month maybe were thought about and changes were made. I can't speak for anyone else.
okay. Thank you. So let's move that. Letter J, approval of board minutes. The first one, approval of board minutes for December 15, 2022, regular meeting minutes. Do I have a motion on that?
I have a, Mr. oh, I'm sorry, who wrote this December minute? Is Ms. Montemuro or Mr. Alex? Ms. Montemuro? I don't know if you guys will remember, but last month in our, monthly meeting, I actually talk about the reason why I couldn't really approve this meeting minutes. Because in December, I raises a few motions, but it's not like officially motion maybe, but it's a communication that I brought to the attention that has not been made for past 30 years in the board. And then like such as a committee structure change, and then like removal or establishing new committees. And then that time in December 2022, we had Mr. Mataracho, who has sat for board member for past 40 years, and he also agreed with this big change. And those things I didn't really see in the meeting minutes. I actually raised the motion like to add the school security and safety committee and remove certain committees as well. And those things so I actually requested to be amended last month. I don't really see the change.
So I know that, it was tabled last month also because of, I believe, buildings and grounds. We didn't have that section in the minutes. But for the minutes, it's not verbatim, it's basically the motions proposed or voted on, and all the actions that are undertaken. So minutes aren't for, word for word what everyone is saying. So I don't know if you wanna table it again, or if you would like to approve it
So
this time.
that's December, and then I just last month I requested to amend and add or not. And actually I just look for the policy by law about minutes, by law 9326. It says board minutes should include a record of all communications presented to the board. And I find that was my motion, or my talk was pretty important because it mentioned about, or it talks about the big change of 30 years.
So if you would like to table it, I will
Yeah, I like to
take a look
table it.
and change it.
You need a vote. You need a vote, you need a motion to table. So she can make a motion to table, and need a second for the vote.
Okay, would you please be provided with some clarity as to what the guidelines are for the minutes? Alan just presented that it's only supposed to document whatever motion is taken and not every communication that is made, but she
From what I
cited
know,
statute indicating different. If you provide some
under-
clarity on that?
Sure, it's not necessarily different. Minutes of a meeting are, it's an amorphous principle. And so the statute and the policy that she's citing is for a global perspective of it. What he's talking about is a more narrow perspective. So it's really a judgment call, it's a judgment call of the board as a whole. So, for example, if you said we had a discussion about school parking for students, okay? And it went on for, 20 minutes or so, and there was no reference towards it. Some members may feel that they needed to be a reference to it, and so then you would, if it was omitted, I'm talking about, so then you would ask to amend accordingly. Otherwise, if it's acceptable and it's not in there, it's fine to proceed without something like that, because it was an item that didn't require action. So you're both right, but one is a higher principle, and the other one one is a macro, the other one is a micro principle. So generally it's a consensus of the board. So there's no right or wrong answer here.
Okay. So do I have to make a motion for?
It sounds like Ms. Chung wants to do that.
Oh, no, because not just that, at the time it was mentioned about, things that I thought that we should not really miss. Because I raised, the conversation regarding on the policy of the board members workshop and trouble that I told you, and then there's talk that we never really followed the policy for past some years about this pre-approval system of board member participating in workshops. And don't you see, I find it important and that why it's not in the meeting. And I just feel like reasonable doubt that just someone or some people that want my name on the minutes, or it's just you don't find it's important.
Should we just take a vote as to how we're gonna conduct minutes in the future in terms of whether we will have a narrow perspective or a more inclusive perspective, and maybe that can address what the outstanding issues are?
Well, I don't think that that's a general determination. It's a case-by-case basis. It would be a case-by-case basis.
Well, if, for example, if Alec knew what the expectations were moving forward, I think that would address what the board expects, that may address, at least for moving forward,
Right, so,
what the expectation is, because I think he's been operating under a different perspective, and
Right.
board member has expressed concerns about the way we have been keeping the minutes.
mhm.
So for the sake of clarity moving forward,
So what's just been handed to me is the bylaws, which says 9326. It sounds like Alex is comporting with the Palisades Park Public Schools bylaws, where it says the minutes of the meeting of the Board of Education shall include A, the classification, parentheses, regular, adjourned, or special date and place of the meeting. B, call to order, stating time, person, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, time, person presiding in his or her office. C, the record of the roll call of the board members. D, a notation of the presence of the chief school administrator, school business administrator, board secretary, administrators, and the public. E, announcement of notification listing the newspapers by time. F, a record of any corrections to the minutes of the previous meeting and the action of approving them. G, a record of all communications presented to the board. Okay, focus on G for a moment. H, a record of each motion placed before the board, the result of the vote, and the vote of each member. So if you're gonna take a look at G, a record of all communications present to the board, I would recommend that on substantive issues, that's what it's referring to.
Yeah.
Okay, but what is a substantive issue is really a determination on a case-by-case, by the board. So that's the best advice I can give you, because that's really the only way to interpret it. So if there is an error, and it's really designed to correct errors, that's why you have the ability to table, that's why you have the ability to request changes. It's to reflect the most accurate record possible, and if a member believes that their communication was sufficiently about an important topic, you certainly are entitled to ask for a correction. And then it's up to the board to agree with that. Alex, is there anything in this that you didn't understand that I read? No. Okay.
Yeah, I think, we could see that issue from the perspective of, the towns and communities, right? Anything that discussed, right? I think, I believe that's the benefit of the people, living in this town, because of the issue discussed, right? I think, for that to be recorded, right?
Mhm.
I think, that's the benefit of the towns, because, either people, teachers, whoever, because the issue discussed, right? I don't think it's a major issue, to put that into, the meeting minutes, right?
Mhm.
So maybe put it more accurate, kind of recording, to me, is more important.
Okay. So what's before the board right now is, you have a request for a motion, to accept the December 15th, minutes of the meeting. So she asked for a motion for that, and and I don't believe we heard a motion or a second. So that procedurally, that's where we are at right now. After you take care of that, you can then make a motion to amend, if you wish, and second, and then you could state what you need to be amended, and that could be heard, and then they will be adjusted accordingly for the next meeting.
I'm sorry, but I missed the first part. What's the first action?
The first action is, we're right now procedurally, the president has asked for a motion to accept the minutes of the December 15th meeting. She hasn't gotten a motion, she hasn't received a second. So, if she doesn't receive, a first, a request or a second, then this would automatically, in a sense, be tabled till the next meeting. But then, I would suggest, someone who wishes to amend the minutes of the meeting, make a motion to amend the minutes of the meeting and state the specific things you wish to have amended, okay? And then you can vote on that, and then it can be adjusted accordingly for a final vote for the next meeting. Does that make sense? I'm sorry, my voice is a little scratchy.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is there a motion to accept the December 15th meeting?
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time?
Is there a motion to accept the December 15th meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept the December 15 minutes.
Only old board members can, no new board members,
Right,
correct? Because it's December 15th.
Yes.
right. You need a second to proceed.
Second? No second.
Okay. So the minutes are not accepted.
Therefore, they're tabled, and I think it's in our best interest to potentially amend them so we can get past this next month.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
So if you want to make a motion to amend them, you can do that right now if you wish. If you want to make a motion to amend them.
Do I make a motion to amend this December 15 minutes?
Okay.
I second.
Okay. And now that you got a second, can you state what you want them to reflect for the record?
I wanted to reflect the topic that I mentioned about the committee structure to be changed and add safety and security committee in, and remove certain committees including PTA and food committee. I don't really recall all of them, but I mentioned about a few committees to be removed because it never really functioned or had a meeting of committee members.
Mhm.
And also, let me see, sorry, and about the board members' participation in the workshops and travel limits and things need to be pre-approved by the board before participate or request for the reimbursement. That has not been really followed, the policies, for past 5 years, I guess. So that, I raised the motion that we need to either change the policy or follow the policy.
Did you get that?
Well, the motion is to include her comments as to those topics. That's not an independent motion in and of itself.
Thank you.
Right, no, what that was just
Right,
was to
just
clarify,
include it. Yeah.
so that he can amend it for the next meeting. Now you can move on to the next topic.
Okay. So, next one, second one, January 10, 2023 reorganization meeting minutes. Can I have a motion on that?
I have one question.
Yes.
Okay, this is very minor things, but still the minute is the record of our activity, so it gotta be accurate. And but the January 10th meeting, it shows that the oath of newly elected members was administered by Mr. Kondowski. But as far as I know, the Sarah Kim, our attorney, attended here and she administered the oath. So this is not correct, so this gotta be changed. I checked like the last year's, the reorganization meeting minutes, and that time the Ben Choi administered and the minute shows administered by Ben Choi. So it should be administered by Sarah Kim, who was the former the attorney of Board of Education, it was administered by her, not Mr. Kondowski. Am I right?
Yeah, so that would be a ministerial, what we refer to as a ministerial change. And you can essentially amend that right now, and accept the minutes of the meeting as it is, with the change of substituting Mr. Choi's name for your prior counsel.
Kim's
Oh,
name.
I'm sorry, Mr. Kim's name.
Miss Kim, Miss Kim.
Miss Kim, excuse me, for Miss Kim. So you can do that right now. You can make
I
a.
can do that?
Yes,
Should
you
I
can.
make a motion
You
for
can
that?
make a motion with the condition that there will be an amendment of Mr. Kondowski's name and include Miss Kim, who administered the oath of office.
This is just a text, so if
Yeah,
you
no,
see
it's
the
okay.
Yes, yeah.
recording or anything.
Yeah,
you
no,
can
that's
do
fine.
it
And-
easily, so-
And I would recommend that you do that to reflect, to accurately reflect it. So feel, you could,
Okay, I would like to make a motion for that, to amend.
I second.
okay.
Any discussion?
Okay, is your vote?
You have a motion and a second, we have a roll call.
Vote.
Yoonmin,
No.
Is it roll call to accept
to
it or to change
to amend
it?
and accept January's minutes
So accept it with the amendment.
with the
The
amendment.
amendment is that Ms. Kim, Ms. Sarah Kim, will replace Mr. Alex Kondowski as who administered the oath of office.
Oh, okay.
So we are accepting the minutes with that condition to amend those changes.
So, okay, if I say yes, that would be changed to
That is
Sarah's
correct.
name, okay.
Okay, I'm sorry, yes.
Iniesta Garcia,
Yes.
Sue Chung,
Yes?
Ellen John,
Yes.
Kevin Lim,
Yes.
Rebecca Lee,
Yes.
Anthony Kim,
Yes.
William Kim,
Yes.
Charlie Shin.
Yes.
Alex, so the minutes will reflect, before they are posted online, the change that has been requested. Thank you.
Okay, next item, we are going to move that committee appointments. First one, Finance Committee, Mr. William Kim.
Yeah, 15 items for resolution. Like to, move to approve all 2015, okay.
Any second?
Second?
Okay, other discussions? If not, roll call please.
Yoonmin,
Yes?
Iniesta Garcia,
Yes.
Sue Chung,
Yes.
Ellen John,
Yes.
Kevin Lim,
Yes.
Rebecca Lee,
Yes.
Anthony Kim,
Yes.
William Kim,
Yes.
Charlie Shin.
Yes.
Okay, next to be Buildings and Grounds Committee, Mr. Anthony Kim. Thank you. Next one, Personnel.
There are 8, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
There are 8 resolutions, I present them on consent agenda, items 1 through 8, for personnel placement.
Any second?
I second.
Any discussion? Roll call please.
Yoonmin,
Yes?
Iniesta Garcia,
Yes.
Sue Chung,
Yes.
Ellen John,
Yes.
Kevin Lim,
Yes.
Rebecca Lee,
Yes.
Anthony Kim,
Yes.
William Kim,
Yes.
Charlie Shin.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
I would just like to take a moment and acknowledge
Curriculum Committee, Miss Rebecca Lee.
There's one resolution in the agenda, I would like to move consent.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call please.
Yoonmin,
Yes?
Iniesta Garcia,
Yes.
Sue Chung,
Yes.
Ellen John,
Yes.
Kevin Lim,
Yes.
Rebecca Lee,
Yes.
Anthony Kim,
Yes.
William Kim,
Yes.
Charlie Shin.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Next one would be negotiation. Mr. Kevin Lim.
Yeah, negotiation, don't have any agenda for resolution today.
Okay, thank you. And next, letter P, policy committee.
No report.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Q, New Jersey, school board, liaison, alternate. Ms. Sue Young?
No report, no report.
Okay, thank you. R, last one, county school board rep and alternate.
No records?
Okay, thank you. Okay, next one, we'll go into old business.
I would like to make a recommendation that the board consider and approve a new policy labeled the Safety and Security Committee, Madam President.
Okay. Does anyone like to make a motion on that?
I'd like to have a motion to establish that school safety and security committee.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Human,
Yes?
Agnieszka Garcia,
Yes.
Sue Chung,
Yes.
Ellen John,
Yes.
Kevin Lynch,
Yes.
Rebecca Lee,
Yes.
Anthony Kim,
Yes.
William Kim,
Yes.
Charlie Shin.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all.
Letter T is, we'll go into new business. Dr. Surila.
I do have one item, Ms. Min, as required in the administrative code, 6A:27-11.2. Regardless if we have busing for our students or not, it is required that we do bus evacuation drills. We just conducted 3 drills in the past month or so we need to memorialize those by way of resolution. So I'm asking the board for a motion and a second on the 3 bus evacuation drills. They were conducted in each of our 3 schools, one at each of our buildings.
Okay. Does,
I'm sorry, is the motion to approve the drills?
To approve and memorialize the drills were conducted, we have to reflect that in our minutes.
okay, does anyone make a motion?
So I'll make a motion for approval.
Okay. Any discussion?
Do I
Roll-
need a second?
Anthony Kim was second.
Dr. Sitter,
Yes, ma'am.
that's just subject to the bus own district or?
Yeah, so it doesn't necessarily apply to only school districts that own buses. If we have a school trip, if we have an athletic event where the students take part in a event at a neighboring district for a game, we should still practice the drill. Oftentimes, we unfortunately put the kids on the bus, okay, get off the bus. I know it seems like it's a minute little task, but you should open the back hatch of a school bus in the event it's an emergency situation, similar to fire drills, things of that nature that we are required to practice. The bus evacuation is the same.
So what about the bus that our town students go to the vocational school?
Yeah, they are required as well to conduct drills. I can't speak for those transportation providers, but the administrative code in New Jersey requires that drills are conducted.
Okay, repeat of this second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Human,
Yes?
Agnieszka Garcia,
Yes.
Sue Chung,
Yes.
Ellen John,
Yes.
Kevin Lim,
Yes.
Rebecca Lee,
Yes.
Anthony Kim,
Yes.
William Kim,
Yes.
Charlie Shin.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And, I'd like to make a motion to all board members to reflect, to open their email contacts on our website, so when people wanna contact them, they see our numbers, not numbers, but emails.
Well, shouldn't members be contacting members? So
Good.
no?
So you're requesting that our website reflect the individual email addresses of board members?
Right, I thought this public email, like,
It is.
it's like all staff
so you all- you all
like you
are-
can search on the website, then it has to come up, so.
Yeah, you can all have email addresses that are provided for each of the board members. I think it is best practice, as was mentioned by New Jersey School Board Liaison, that if parents are trying to communicate, the board technically sits as a board when they are on the dais here tonight. Individually, those comments should probably come to the respective schools, or if they're contacting you, again, direct them to me.
Right. But that's it's an issue of the chain of commands.
Chain of command, correct?
But I'm talking about the record, like not recorded, but like board contacts on the website as most of other New Jersey district schools.
So,
They
like a
request-
biography or an opportunity, so
on the
a
Board
fam-
of Education, there's a name like Miss Smith, Miss Agnieszka, Miss Chung, and there's
Yeah.
contacts and.
But not
But that
a way
doesn't
for someone in the community to contact you specifically, or just a biography of who you are?
That's really good, no, it's just, I'm saying, like, as a public,
I have no problem updating our website to reflect the 9 board members and give a brief summary or biography of each of you. I don't know, again, I work for you, if you want your emails there, by all means, I just think we are broaching a very tricky area in people contacting the board, and then the board overstepping their boundaries.
but that's, their problem, or they need to find out what to do with that. But I just see that all the most of public school, if I research, when I research the communities in other school district, that I found out only our district has no contact.
I understand what you're talking about. Another school district, they have a board of education, and when they click, and they find each of board members,
Right.
see email
Right,
address
right.
too. That's what she.
So,
It shouldn't be a private email address, it should be.
Right, I say the parent have all emails.
A board assigned email address.
there's a motion on the floor. If the board wants to consider that. Yeah, I'm on Leonia, neighboring town, I don't see.
I think Dr. Cirillo's concern is that if a parent reaches out to the board member will
Not follow the chain of
not
command.
follow chain of command and direct the parent to such and such.
Yeah.
I see,
That's
I
the
know,
issue.
that one,
I see
yeah.
Leonia and I see pictures of each of the board members. I don't see contact information for them, but again, I'm looking if you don't mind.
I actually saw it, but I will.
on Leonia. Why don't we speak maybe tomorrow, if you wanna share some districts with me? I'm gonna just, because I know some districts, when you email the board member, it goes to a general pool, so everyone gets the email. I do know of that in other districts. I wanna protect the board, but if that's something that the board and the council agrees to,
Yeah, I
wouldn't be
don't know
my
which town.
recommendation.
Some town had a board of education at whatever town.
It's a general email that all members would receive. And it's really done, in the event a email was Oprah'd. You're subject to, obviously turning those emails over. Mr. McCann, anything you wanna add to that?
Yeah, the Department of Education Ethics Committee has, over the last 15 years or so, has refined the roles of the board members, acting as a board member versus acting in their own private capacity. So the tension is when you're elected, the public wants, I know that board member, I wanna talk to them about so-and-so, I wanna talk to them about this issue. The problem, as you point out, is that if the board member is certainly free to discuss an issue and listen to the public. But the board member, I can write a memo on this, if we're going to do this, to cover what you can and can't do. You can listen and you can talk about it, but you can't promise to take any action, because then you will be speaking on behalf of the board, and that would not be appropriate, that would be an ethics violation. So it's just a potential landmine, for, honest mistakes to be happening, because the role of the ethics committee is ongoing. So and they will caution you as well. They'll have an opinion, ethics opinion X, Y, Z, but they will tell you, don't rely on ethics opinion X, Y, Z, because facts and circumstances could change in the next one. So I don't know what the past practice has been of this, and I will take a look at that and talk to the doctor about that. But I can tell you that you need to be careful when you do that, from an ethics perspective. Again, in an ethics violation, it does not have to be intentional. It can be accidental. And I'm not trying to scare you, it's just the way the board sees
Yeah,
it.
no, although I didn't really reflect any context on the website, still people figure out by mouth to mouth how I got out of course and the context, or was I address them to just talk to follow the chain of commands. But the reason I raised this motion is because last year I've seen a few parents were very accused by the board, because she found out the email and sent out the email to board member when she failed to communicate with other school administrators. So I don't want the parents to be blamed by just talking to and then not be able to communicate
Right.
with the board members. I feel bad about them just be accused because they contact the board members.
Right, so and I think Dr. Searle would agree with this, the danger there is that once the parent makes the contact with the board member, then they think their obligation is finished, and a policy wasn't followed because they weren't aware, and maybe Dr. Searle himself wasn't aware.
So I think it's twofold, go ahead.
Okay, now I'm checking the Board of Education of Ridgefield and Foley, okay? And both towns, Board of Education, they put the email address for all the Board of Education members, so it's not that harmful to put the email address.
What I was
And keeping that ethics rule is our responsibility. We know about that. We are getting the education repeatedly, so we know about that. So it's not that harmful to put like email address in
Right.
our website.
Right, but since, if you're going to do this, since this would be new to this community and this board, I would recommend that you let me provide you with a brief memo, just so that you'll be properly guided, especially if you're a new member. And you may not have, the experience of doing this for a long period of time, because I would feel much better as to say to you, okay, here's some guidelines for you to follow, as opposed to you just following it blindly. You will, as a board member, you will always be in a better position to say if a mistake happened, you can blame me. You can say, I relied on counsel. I did that because the board attorney recommended that, okay? So that's why I'm recommending that I do that, if you decide to do that.
So I made a motion, anybody second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I have some question. Is there any way that you can communicate with Richfield and Foley that how come they just came to the decision that disclose the contact information including email? Because they also have some kind of reasoning, but without knowing that in detail, I think to me a little bit hard to make a decision. So.
Kevin, I think, I don't want to speak for any other community. I think it allows for further transparency, but based on my knowledge with other colleagues, a generic email, and I'm sure our technology director is here tonight, he can speak to it if needed, but a generic email is received saying, we have received your email, we are looking into the matter, and someone will get back to you. It's an opportunity for the community, and all members receive the email. I'm not sure, again, I can speak to Fort Lee, I can speak to Richfield. I'm trying to find it on each of their websites. I did see it on the Paramus schools. It does, again, provide with the biography that I saw. It doesn't provide an email for all members. Maybe some want it, some don't. But again, it's probably an opportunity to allow for further transparency.
Or can we do a generic email so that any of the member can go in, and then this is just for the parents or whoever wants to contact the board?
Do you want an individual email? There's a motion and a second, I can't.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Do you want a generic email or your personal email?
Generic, like a Palisades Park.
But a Palisades Park Board of Ed for everyone, or for S. Chung at Palisades Park Schools?
Well, I don't mind to be just or if some of you just use your personal email, that I agree that you don't wanna put that on the website. I'm just saying, as long as it's Palisades.org, if you wanna hold that, then I would like to make a motion.
Well, there's already a motion on
Yeah,
the
there's a
table.
motion and a second.
There's a motion and a second.
Each board member has a separate email, I think.
Yeah, there's a motion and a second.
Okay.
This is a discussion still.
Discussion.
I don't necessarily think just because another school district does it means we should do it. This probably should be a decision that's thought out. If you would like your email address public, I think we can make a motion to just have yours public. And if you don't, then you don't. I don't think it has to be an all or nothing type vote.
Yeah, I didn't make a motion just because to follow other
No, I
other
understand.
district do. I just said, explain, I felt bad about the parents who are accused just by contacting the board members.
Right.
So what is the motion that is on the floor at this time? Because there's been a lot of discussion back and forth.
So the
There's a
motion,
motion and there's a second, so a vote must be taken, it's my understanding, but if you could just clear up what the motion is.
well, the motion, as I understand, as she stated, was to include email contacts, but it wasn't specific as to what kind of emails. That's why it went into that discussion.
Oh, I mentioned about the Palisades.org email,
Palisades
A
Park
district
Yeah.
issue
A
email
district-
address.
district public email.
for each member.
Right,
Or-
but if,
That was the motion.
I'm-
right, I can amend it to whomever just be on the website. If you don't want to, I don't wanna force you to do it. But I'm just gonna wanna, make a motion.
I'll
if
second that.
Anybody who wants it.
Okay.
Can we have a roll call, please?
Yunmin,
No?
Anieska Garcia,
No.
Sue Chung,
Yes?
Alan John,
No.
Kevin Lim,
Yes?
Rebecca Lee,
No.
Anthony Kim,
No.
William Kim,
Yes.
Charlie Shin,
Yes.
No, this is to publish,
No,
Generally-
she amended her
generally,
motion.
generally, I think,
You amended your motion, to be clear.
Could you make it very clear? I don't know whether, all, each board member. clear
Each board
understand.
member whomever just wish to be on the website, there's
Your
no
choice.
objection to just put your Palisade public email on the website. If
motion
you
has
don't
been
like to
denied
do
by
it,
the
you
board.
don't need to do
So
it.
can we just make a motion
We have to change.
or, change the motion so that whoever says yes wants their email
Yeah.
published?
Okay, so that would be out of order now. You just voted and it was voted down. You can make another motion because it's new business. You can make another motion for consideration as well.
I'll make another motion cause she really wants hers published, so I would really like to make another motion to clarify this whole thing. So whoever says yes wants their email published, whoever says no, doesn't want their emails published.
Rebecca, if you don't have 5 votes, you can't do that.
Oh,
Yeah, it has to be consensus. Yeah, I understand what you're trying to do.
The majority will rule if the emails go or not.
okay. Is there a way of doing that?
No.
You know what we can consider, being that it was denied, I can consider and speak to our tech department about a general, contact the Board of Ed email address, that redistributed. Again, I'm not the tech expert here, I'm not trying to hide anything. If the community needs to be in touch with a board member, rather than they call them personally, maybe there's an opportunity to do such, but in the meantime, I will look at other districts and see what their rationale is, and I'll ask them about it.
Okay, can I go on? Long time starting. Can I make a motion to open audience participation?
I make a motion to open audience participation.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
So please be reminded 3 minutes per participant, and also please tell your name and address. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Ms. Jessica Figueroa, and I'm on Glen Avenue. My son attends here ECC. I want to thank the board for mentioning in regards to the summer program, which that was one of my questions, wondering if the summer program has been approved for this year for all students to have an IEP. And second too, which I'm glad you brought up, was my second question in regards to the HVAC system in the summertime and wondering if these kids will be provided with some type of cooling and air conditioning. So where my question comes now is wondering the status of a second speech therapist at ECC. And also too, one issue that I have been seeing with just a few parents that I've been discussing and talking to.
That wasn't 3 minutes, that was
No, it
quick.
wasn't, but, no.
Okay.
That was quick. It's like the Grammys, you gotta go quicker, girl.
Sorry, sorry.
And if there is a possibility of maybe finding another therapist that might have some type of certification or education on feeding therapy. I've been talking to a lot of moms and a lot of parents that their children who are on the spectrum and a lot of disabilities, their kids are not eating proper food or in general most food. And my son, just speaking to with my son, he also has these issues, and I'm grateful that we currently have somebody, but we're spread thin. They're very spread thin, and they've admitted that to me. And I don't feel like that's something that should be denied to these kids who need it, because for autism, that is like the number one death is their nutrition. So that's something I would like to be considered. And if maybe it's not a feeding therapist, another occupational therapist who specializes in sensory issues. It's something I feel that is needed for the special education program and most kids that are on the spectrum, as we are seeing more kids on the spectrum attending this school. Thank you.
Thank you. For the purpose of the audience, we're gonna take any and all questions or comments, and then we will respond if necessary.
I'm sorry, just one more thing. Just with the response, and I just please, for sensitivity, please don't say go on YouTube. I really appreciate it. That's just not a good response for a mother who has a child with disabilities. Thank you.
Yes, America Potter for Glen Avenue. I like the setup, it look nice. Whoever idea was, it was nice. And I like that we have a student, a real person who see the school and who know what the school needs. I'm really happy that you're here. Thank you for giving your time and the night to be here and give it the info that we need. As of referral of one of the council members, Sean, I really do not agree that you guys deny, again, you entitled to decide what you guys want to do with your information. But you forgot the most important part, that you are public for the community. You decide to vote to become a member, to serve the school, and thank you for that. But you are a public person who serves the school, who communicate with the parent. Because I'm pretty sure when you ask an election time, you give, not your email, you give your phone number because you want vote. So if you guys want vote, you could provide that. That's a way, let's say, as a parent, I want to contact one of the members and just, just know them, not for particular issue, because you as a member, I know you have a lawyer, is gonna advise you. If I come and say, I have this situation, you're gonna provide me the right person to contact. But you are public, because by doing that, of course, you are private in your life, but you are public for serving the community and the school board. So we as a parent have the right to know who are the board members. A lot of people don't come here to the meeting, unfortunately, they don't know who you are. So if they know who you are, they could get better information. So I don't see nothing wrong about having a general email and provide the name and the email, because by email, you're gonna have a proof why you respond, and it's gonna be on record. So it's no secret about that. So I don't know why you guys not decide that, because when it's election time, you give any information. I'm very clear about that. So right now, we need information from you as a board member. Nothing personal. You're not gonna advise me if I have a problem in school, and you're gonna guide me to the principal or whoever you need to guide. And of course, you have a lawyer to advise you if I ask you something that is not good. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Hi, Noemi Rivera, Glen Avenue. I just wanted to say thank you. Last meeting, I mentioned the safety concerns of all the children between this school and Lindbergh, and then Rebecca mentioned between Lindbergh and the high school, and immediately I saw an increase in police presence, and people are working with the children, and there's more traffic control, and I just want to say thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Other person? Thank you. Thanks, ma'am.
My name's Jackie Venor, Delia Boulevard. I received a notice January 31st, an email, and it's about my daughter, Ella Venor Drumgold. She goes to the ECC, and it's about her lunch payment, and I was reading it, and something caught my eyes. Like I said, she goes to early childhood center where Ms. Romero is the principal, and the information here, when I was reading it, came across that it was signed by Mr. Fallon. And so I went and I spoke to the lunch lady at Lindbergh, that's who it's said to speak to, and she never sent this to me. And she said she wouldn't have sent it to me because my daughter doesn't attend Lindbergh, so I spoke to the lady who's in charge at the ECC, and she said she never sent it to me. She actually hasn't sent out any notice in a while. So when I showed her the notice I received, she pointed out that the entire template was altered, that somebody had to actually manually go into the system and deleted what my daughter's form should have looked like and typed in something completely different and put Mr. Fallon's name in it. She said nobody else should have had access to that. So my question is, my concern is who did it, who had access to my personal information, who saw it, and why was my daughter singly directed, only her, out of everybody in the district? I'm very curious as to that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other? Okay, so we are going to close audience participation, and
And I will do my very best to answer I think there were 4 members of the public who spoke tonight. Ms. Figueroa, first, yes, summer programs, I am very happy to report that we are not just planning it for ESY, but we're trying to hopefully recruit enough teachers to have an enrichment program for all students. We firmly believe that, the Department of Education calls it learning loss. I call it gaps that may exist and areas that need improvement or remediation. The good news is many of our faculty and staff relies on the summer employment. I know the beach is nice, but it's not normally warm until August anyway, the water that is. But with that being said, I'm hopeful we start the process in, like always, April and May. We identified a number of students that are eligible or interested based on parental responses, and then we obviously solicit the teachers. Number 2, the HVAC. The fingers are crossed that the weather continues to stay warm. Although, as Mr. Spolazzo said, the condensers are up there. The wiring, the tying in of the plumbing requires us to shut down our boilers. I am not ready to do that because with our luck, it'll be 6 degrees like it was last Saturday. And then we'll have frozen pipes like we did at the high school. So with all of that being said, again, this is all weather dependent. The good news is we are going to do our very best to put our students most severely affected in temperature-controlled climates like this room, like potentially a room of a pre-K classroom that has central air. Fingers are crossed. As far as the speech therapist, there are shortages in many areas, not an excuse. We are seeking potentially an outsource of a speech therapist because we cannot hire one of our own right now. There's just not enough people out there seeking employment in that field. I'll be totally honest with you, and when I don't know something, I'll admit to it, but I've never heard of feeding therapy, and to hear and learn what you just shared with me really educates me to do some more research. Additionally, I know of therapy dogs, and I know of our OTs doing considerable work with their sensory materials. I've looked into therapy dogs. I don't want to scare anyone. Clearly, they're trained. They offer different methods of comfort to students that need it most. I am not opposed, so long that our Board of Health in Palisades Park allows for pets in our schools, because sometimes that's a tricky area. But if the weather's nice, we could sit in the courtyard, and those dogs can provide comfort. That's something I will very much consider and look into literally tomorrow. I know we're not, sorry, I wanna talk to you more, to try to keep like a, discussion, we have to reopen audience, sorry.
Dr. Siri, do you mind if I make comments?
Please do.
Thank you. Miss Jessica, right?
Yes.
Okay, so for feeding therapy that I know my friends have been doing it, I know that it's very important for the kids has issue with eating, but in my understanding, it's kind of hard to find nearby, and it's the students in these are not always consistent as they got out of the therapy in 6 months or a year. So I'm not sure, but I would support if I have more knowledge and research about it. But then I remember that many years ago, do you remember Dr. Vasquez, who was the director of special education?
Yes.
She actually conducted a program for parents to help their knowledge and awareness how important for those kids in special needs education work, actually include all mainstream kids as well. So she conducted the meeting, joint workshop with the Region 5, including with Palisades, Lee, and here and Leonia. And so all parents will receive the information of the events that they invited the nutritionists and other professionals to provide information about how to feed, how to give good nutrition, and the way that or trick how to make kids eat healthier food. But unfortunately, I was only one parent from Palisades who participated in the events, and the director told me that she wanted to do more of those things, but if without the parents' support, it's hard to keep it on. So, because I hear you, so maybe if you keep doing this, there's a lot of opportunities will be here too. So thank you for being here, and then.
Ms. Chung, may I ask, so I'm curious, the program provided by Dr. Vasquez was helpful?
Yes.
I'm still in touch with her. I can be in touch and see if we can also offer that again, because some time has passed. So I can see if we can do something.
And then parents came, and then.
I can be in touch with her.
Yeah, thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Neris, thank you for being here. The setup, I'll give Eliana the credit. It's her first month with us, and I wasn't gonna drag her out of our home unless we had tablecloths, you know, I'm just kidding. Ms. Montemuro said if I resigned, you could, no. The truth is, clearly, I think any opportunity to improve, to continue to put our best foot forward is something that we want to strive for. We are all at least doing our very best. We're not perfect. I don't know that perfection exists, but we are getting better. I think you can tell after last month's meeting and tonight, there was a little bit of a better decorum. We are learning. We are a team. We are trying to do what's best. And as you can see, usually when it comes to our children, to our schools, there is no debate about that. Ms. Rivera, thank you. And I do appreciate the kind words. Obviously, safety and security not only is important to me, but clearly the board tonight decided to create that committee. I know you emailed me those sentiments, and I immediately followed up and shared that with our police department. I think it's important for them to know that as well. I know we have a member in the audience. We've been asking them to be here. This is a credit to Chief Espino. This is a credit, guys. I'm not sure what letter you're referring to, but you and I are definitely going to talk about that letter. I don't know, first and foremost, why your daughter, who I know personally, is in this building, and a letter would be signed by a different administrator. Additionally, to the best of my knowledge, any food service letters are usually driven or delivered out of my office after, and if someone might be eligible, not always, Ms. Montemuro. Thank you for being here. She's never going to leave us. Diane, can you help me out on that one?
They're automatically generated at the school offices.
In the office, not in the cafeteria?
The secretaries usually, I don't know if we're talking about the same thing. Is it a late, if it's late lunch?
No,
It's
so
a late lunch?
I spoke to Liz.
So Jackie,
and
only
Barbara.
because, I'm sorry, we'd
I'm
have to
sorry.
reopen
Oh, I
audience.
see what it is, yeah.
They sent it right out of the sheet.
Diane, let's talk about that privately
Okay,
after with
we will.
Jackie,
Yes,
okay? I'm sorry.
Jackie.
Jackie, I'm sorry you're going through that. I don't know exactly what it is. We'll figure it out. And if not, I will be more than happy to get the board attorney involved if need be, okay? I think that's it. I hope that's it. Mr. Spalazzo?
No, I said you only have 4 people, so I
4
think you're
people.
done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, hold on, if there's another member of the audience, we have to reopen audience. So you have to close,
We are going to close the, audience participation, then we are going to open the, audience participation. Do you have any questions?
we need a motion to open.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion. Yes.
Second.
My name is Trisha. I'm on Henry Ave, and I just moved here from Brooklyn, New York. And I came here because I heard Palisades Park was like one of the best school districts in New Jersey for children with special needs. And my son
Why to that
has
poor
special
girl?
needs, and I wanted to second everything Jessica said. Because my son has a lot of sensory issues, and I hope you do your research. But on your research, you will see that the therapists kind of go against each other. They'll say, oh, it's OT's job for feeding therapy. No, it's speech's job for feeding therapy, when it's a joint effort. Sensory, occupational therapy and speech therapy, they both handle sensory. A good therapist will say that. And there is feeding therapy, and there's a lot of programs in New York that use dogs, so it is very helpful. And I really hope you guys do figure something out for the feeding, because my son has a really bad eating issue. And a nutritionist is great, but a nutritionist can't help teach a parent sensory issues.
In this case, because
Hold on, we have to close the audience again.
Okay.
Oh wait, I wanna say one more thing. I forgot your name, but I wanted to
Eliana?
Ileana, for sure, have menstrual products in high school, that is a must, that is a need. And to make a safe space, because not all women menstruate. I know, I don't know everyone's stance on the subject, but to make a safe space and have menstrual products, because it's easier to get condoms than to get pads or tampons, and that's not fair.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to close, audience participate.
I love the nameplates.
Thank you.
We know who's speaking, and we can put a face with the name.
Looks like a
And I like the new member, Eliana.
We'll have a nameplate next month. I promise you. The email's already been sent, as will Mr. McCann.
He's our morning announcer at school.
When you leave, you take it as a souvenir.
Thank you.
So just, we close the audience, right?
Oh, no, not yet.
I'll second to close.
No, I didn't do yet. I'd like to make a, motion to close, audience participation.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Tricia, just really quickly, and I mean this sincerely, and I know you said there's potentially a little bit of infighting, if you want to call it that, between the therapists. What I promise you is, again, I take every moment as a teachable moment. I am very fortunate to have children that don't have the disabilities that the two of you are proud to stand before us and share with us, and it's an opportunity for me to grow. With that being said, we need you to be a part of that conversation. We need you to share with us what goes on at home. So if you guys, and clearly you're here in the public as advocates, so I need you to continue to advocate not just for your kids, but for all kids. And I will be more than happy to bring my therapist to the table, not to have an argument, but to have a conversation. Because when we communicate effectively, we can solve problems. So I would be very happy to add you to those conversations if your schedules permit. We can't go back and forth right now. At the end, I will talk to you.
Is it okay that I can talk?
You can do anything you want, Ms. Jones.
Relevant to that lady just raised. But if, I don't know if you have like further plan in near future to recruit another additional speech therapist, but in
Yes,
my,
we do.
oh you do?
We do
Okay. In
100%.
my understanding, all my friends' parents, because I'm a mother of special needs child too, so I had like, some friends who used to go to the feeding therapist. Mostly they actually had a side job as a feeding therapist, but their main job was speech therapist. So if you recruit speech therapists, that maybe it will be cross. If
Maybe
they
if
have
they're
a
specialized. I will look for that.
Yeah,
It's a great
feeding
suggestion.
therapist.
Thank you. Great suggestion. We do have to go to closed session, no formal action after.
So now, we are going to make a motion to open closed session. Does anyone make a second?
Well, we need to make a motion to go to closed session.
A motion?
To go to close.
Okay, we are going to make a motion to close, audience participation. Then we are going to open the closed session. So maybe you have to leave, and then after we finish, you could come back. Is that right?
Yes. No formal action will be taken after our closed session. So if you wanted to go home, have a good night. If you wanted to stay.
Thank you. Call to order. Everyone, can you stand up to, close,
The United States of America, and to the republic, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.